Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from, or if you're catching the replay. And welcome to this Appgate webinar. I'm Ixta Gerard. I'm so glad to have you with us today. Before we jump in, just a few quick housekeeping items. This session is being recorded and you'll receive the replay within 24 hours. Feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A panel. If we don't get we don't get to them during this live session, we'll make sure to follow up with you with answers afterward. We do have captions enabled, which is in the bottom of your screen. So if you need those, please select them and I'll enable them for you. Now let's get into today's topic, accelerating zero trust adoption with Appgate's new application discovery service. I'm excited to be joined by our expert presenter today, Colby Dice, Director of Product Management here at Appgate. With that, let's get started. Colby, over to you.
Thanks, Ixta. Thanks, appreciate it. And thanks everyone for taking time out of your busy days to learn a little bit about application discovery service. I'm also excited to be here. I'm excited to present all this, not just what the capabilities are, but why we built it. So why don't we just get started? So the motivations really are driven by the challenges that we've seen in the market. And this is largely, we think, due to the historical use of VPNs. A lot of organizations set up with legacy controls where they just grant overly broad access to users, such as like subnets, where you have this excessive trust. You give a lot of access to users, and then by default, you're also increasing the attack surface. So, well, organizations would like to adopt the zero trust model. They often lack the visibility that's needed to define these precise and application level entitlements. To get through into that visibility, organizations have to go through manual discovery methods, like combing through the audit logs or interviewing the stakeholders. And I think we can all appreciate how slow and error prone, resource intensive those processes can be. So what this ends up leading to are delays in implementing a least privilege access model. And in many organizations, this also contributes to issues with showing compliance or maintaining compliance. And certainly there are these security gaps by having way too many services and resources made available. So just based on some initial market research, like we've seen these as drivers, and when working with our early adopters for application discovery, these proof points are really borne out. We'd seen that within the groups that we had interviewed, as well as the participants in the early access programs, we saw that 96% of the environments we're still relying on overly permissive rules. And these are organizations that are definitely struggling under time pressures and competing priorities. So they rapidly roll out kind of a VPN style configuration. So certainly it helped to get remote users or hybrid workers connected pretty quickly, but it still left a lot of the organization, a lot of the resources open to attack. When we asked customers, well, how would they go about getting to more fine-grained access rules? What we heard most often was that these would all be manual processes that could take a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks just to establish a new baseline, just a new set of basic entitlements. And of course, that work has to continue as organizations shift their application stacks to different locations. Maybe they move from on-prem to cloud, or they have a hybrid model, or they're adding on new applications. So every one of these changes requires new entitlements to be created. So do 4 to 6 weeks, but then you have to do that when the organization changes again. So it's a long-term kind of commitment there. And we know that the work there includes the manual review of the logs and then working with the stakeholders. And all of that just takes a lot of time, where network and security team members could be addressing other high priority business needs. So we see these problems. At another way to kind of look at the problem space is to take a look at a before and after. as I was describing, like in this before scenario, you've got the teams that moved very quickly and configured a broad entitlement, maybe a couple broad entitlements, perhaps an entitlement for each subnet that they want to grant access to. So this mimics the legacy VPN access. And while it is giving these users access to the resources that they need, it's also granting them a lot of access to resources that they don't need. And this overly permissive model really undermines the whole concept of zero trust, and could create some additional compliance risks for organizations that need to report on compliance. So this shortcut, real fast to get there, but still a lot of risk. So a better place to be would be like in this after image. So here, what we see are end users who are granted specific entitlements that allow them to access specific applications or resources. And all the other resources are hidden to them. They're cloaked thanks to Appgate's single packet authorization technology, or SPA technology. So even a user who has a compromised device, they won't be putting these cloaked resources at risk, because not even an attacker could see or access those resources thanks to the way that Appgate SDP works. So ideally, you want to move from the before picture to the after picture as quickly as possible. And even better, if you can do that in a way that doesn't impact the end users. It doesn't affect their productivity. And so that's really where the application discovery service begins to change the game here. So rather than relying on manual log reviews or weeks of the back and forth with stakeholders, the application discovery service automatically detects and classifies the application usage in your environment. There won't be any manual digging required now. And by leveraging the Appgate intelligence and machine learning technologies, the service will analyze those patterns, map the users to the groups and to the applications they access. So that's already done for you. And then it goes a step further by generating entitlement recommendations. So your team can confidently enforce least privileged access without slowing down the operations team either. So a quick summary of the key benefits of this service. Helping organizations move faster. So with application discovery, you can onboard multiple environments or multiple sites simultaneously, and you can dynamically refine the entitlements as the user behavior evolves, as you are able to watch what users are doing and then put controls in to ensure that they only have access to the things they need. And you can do that with every new site that you onboard. And as we've seen working with customers already, this is something you can do inside an existing environment to get to more fine-grained controls. So it's faster, and it definitely will reduce the risk because it's identified exactly who needs access to what. And that allows you to have these really narrow entitlements that segment at an application level. And this will ensure that users only get to see and reach what they're supposed to. This will then, of course, eliminate that excessive trust and really drastically shrinks the overall attack surface. Of course, all this work is being done with automation and intelligence, and it's designed to get rid of the need for the manual access reviews and manually having to create all the entitlements, which, as we've seen, can take several weeks of time just to do a baseline. So with application discovery, automating this effort, it can free up the IT and the security teams to focus on the higher value initiatives. And finally, it will help organizations become more compliance ready. At least you can respond more quickly and authoritatively to audit and compliance requests because you'll have full visibility into who's accessing what, and can show that you had put in place entitlements that would tightly control who should have that access. So all of this in general is just really about being smarter and faster and more secure and doing all this with less effort. So there's a lot of stuff we just talked about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift gears. We're going to show a demonstration. And to avoid the demo gods striking me down and causing the demo to go silly, I have a pre-recorded demo, which I'll walk you through right here. This will work out fine. So in my Appgate SDP environment, I have an initial policy, initial entitlement, and this one's set up like a lot of organizations will start with. You'll see that we have these entitlements, the entitlement rules that allow broad range, like a /24 access to a .2 and a .4, and with a broad port range. And we've done that for both TCP and ICMP. So lots of resources that could be on the other side of this. And we've seen this as a common setup. Maybe it was initially for the IT group or development group, or maybe you set up a subnet and you say, well, that's where all of finance or marketing resources are at. But of course, there's a lot more resources behind the scenes, and you want to know who has access to them. So as I said, this is a pretty common entitlement configuration, even in environments where customers have been working with Appgate for a while, because it just can take a while to build up entitlements. So once the entitlement's been running and my collective is connected so that it's using Appgate SDP, application discovery, now I can go to the discovered apps panel. And here we'll see a list of all the applications that the service has discovered, as well as the number of users that we've seen, the specific port that they've accessed, when did they last access it. You'll note that a lot of these are in the format of a fully qualified domain or an FQDN. We, in fact, discover the names of the applications, the FQDNs of the applications or resources. We'll find also any IP addresses. So if a user is accessing a resource with an IP rather than the friendly name, this is also discovered. It's hidden in this view, as you can see from this message here. It's hidden from this view, and that's just to kind of simplify in the demo here. I wanted less noise in it, but just so you're aware, we'll see names and you'll find specific IP addresses for those. So we discover all that, as well as all the different ports and protocols that are being used. And in this case, we're showing mostly common ports, as this was just a nice little demo. So we found lots of applications from just this real simple example, 28 different applications that we found. And I want to now learn a little bit more about an application, who's using it and how often, and a little bit more about their groups. So this analysis, drill into it. In this analysis, you'll see first that we can see how much traffic or how many connection requests were made during the analysis time period. And as you can see, it's a 30-day time period. And we can see that the application was real popular for a little bit and then went away. And that's because of the vacation and the long holiday break. When we did the recordings, you'll find the host name, the port. So more information about what we've discovered. Users were accessing, and here's the list of users who are accessing this this application. And we'll show the set of groups. Now, in your environment, your list of groups will be more interesting than my environment. In my environment, I have everybody in one group. If you have multiple groups, you'll find all the groups that the users were members of listed here, and then a percentage. So maybe you had 30% of your users are in a finance group, and 40% of the users were coming from the executive group or what have you. So you'll get to see the different groups that were accessing the resource. And the reason why we're showing the groups is because we recognize that most often group membership is used as a criteria for getting access to an application. So by telling you not just who is like the individuals that are accessing it, we'll tell you the groups so that as an SDP administrator, you can configure your policy to ensure that the one or two groups that need the access can have it. And we'll just continue on the additional data tab. That's where we'll show you which specific entitlement was used by users to access the resource, as well as the IP addresses that we've discovered for that application. So this is really helpful if you have multiple entitlements that have subnet that grant subnet level access. So perhaps you have two or more entitlements that are granting access to the same overlapping subnet range. You may see multiple entitlements listed here. And then for the IPs, where you see we have this host name. Of course, that host name could get resolved to multiple IP addresses. So if that's the case, then every IP address that was mapped to this domain name, this FQDN, that would be displayed here as well. So again, all this information is available deep in the audit logs. And this is the kind of stuff that folks would have to manually pull out to analyze to get this view. But with virtually no effort here, we were able to discover a set of applications and find out for a given application who's using it, how often, what groups are they members of, what specific resource IP ports are they going to. And based on this information, you may then say, well, I want to build an entitlement for this application. I want to secure this specific application. And to do that, we simply would click on the grant access button or configure access button. And in the screen that appears here, we can see that we have the option to enter in an entitlement name. And you'll see that by default, we have it in a disabled state. And we can also add optionally tags, one or more tags to the entitlement. The ability to add a tag here is important for the customers who are assigning entitlements to a policy based off of a tag. So if that's a model that you use, then simply adding the tag here will ensure that this entitlement will be attached to your policy, the policies that you want. On the other hand, if you're adding entitlements individually, that is you have named entitlements associated with your policies, you'll also have the option to do that after you initially create the entitlement. You see there's the button to add to policy, and then clicking that will then let you choose which policy or policies you want this entitlement to be accessed to. So just depends on which model your organization prefers, assignment by tag or assignment by named entitlement. Both are supported in this model. And as you can see, it's really straightforward to use. So in this case, I won't need to add to the policy because mine's going to be automatically added to a policy via tags. And you'll also notice that now the entitlement that I just created now appears here. And if I click on that, it can bring me right to the specific entitlement. And this entitlement is just a normal entitlement. It's just like any other entitlement in the system, except maybe has the benefit of having been automatically generated initially from application discovery. And you can see I can come into this environment and I can add additional conditions if I want. For example, here I'm adding a condition where we're using the risk engine service to confirm that a device is considered low risk by CrowdStrike. So that's a full path through application discovery. Nice, simple way for it to work. So let's talk briefly about the technical prerequisites for existing customers. There are two basic criteria. First, Your Appgate SDP appliances must be on version 651 or later. And I want to point out that I'm only referring to the appliances. You do not need to update all the Appgate clients to this version. In fact, any supported client version would be sufficient. And I point that out since I know many customers are running different versions of Appgate clients. And I want to make it clear that you don't actually need to change the end user's behavior. If you're able to update the clients, that's great, but it's not needed. But you must upgrade the Appgate SDP appliances to be 651 or higher. The second basic requirement is that your collective needs to be deployed in either a hosted, connected, or linked deployment model. So just to describe a little further, if you're running Appgate SDP in your own environment entirely, your controllers, gateway, and other appliances are running inside your environment, you can link or connect your collective to ZTP. This is the Zero Trust platform. This is where value-added services like application discovery are delivered. So once you're connected or linked, you'll be able to access this service. Or if you had a hosted SDP environment, and in this case, these are customers who have the controllers that run inside our environment. Our team handles ensuring the uptime and the maintenance, like the upgrades for those controller appliances. Meanwhile, the rest of the appliances continue to run in your own environment, so you continue to retain the benefits of direct routed. So if your Appgate collective is already hosted, then application discovery is pretty easily available to you, something that you can be able to try out. The same thing if you are connected or linked. If you are running an isolated collective, that really just means that your collective is running entirely by itself. You're not linked or connected to ZTP. Then what I recommend is that you connect with your Appgate representative who can help describe how you can link to ZTP for no charge, as well as the benefits of some of the additional services, application discovery being just one of them. In fact, it's like to unlock the full potential of Appgate SDP, there's the application discovery service. That is just one example of our commitment to our customer security. But there are these other services such as the risk engine service, which is a great service for getting security posture information from third-party tools. There's the policy analyzer, which will be coming out shortly, and the SDP health check service, which is freely available to everyone. More services are continuing to come there, and if you talk to your Appgate representative, they can help provide more details. So customers who adopt like the connected or linked deployment model, they'll gain access to this growing set of cloud delivered services. And all of these are really designed to help accelerate your zero trust journey without requiring additional tools, without requiring you to deploy additional infrastructure or bring on more headcount. So overall, this enhances your security posture, and it does this in a way that enables you to scale fast and operate more efficiently. I'd say for next steps to learn more, you can certainly contact your Appgate representative who can help you learn more about application discovery or about the other services delivered from our secure cloud environment. But in the meantime, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Sounds great, Colby. We do have a few that came in. I'm gonna give you the first one from David. Will this list only include apps the user is directly using, or will it discover apps that run in the background as a user and/or system?
It's a great question. And so this will discover applications that your users are using. The data that it's analyzing here is a connection request that an end user makes while using an Appgate client to access a resource that's available through a broad entitlement. So they have to have made some sort of access request. It could be anything from a ping, a wget, a HTML call, the use of RDP, any sort of network connection request would cause it to trigger App Disco to know about it.
Perfect, thank you. Here's another from Rajiv. What level of entitlements can be granted? Read-only, reports, read-writes, and do these policies have to be defined beforehand? And he asked a second question here, and can this be dynamic and or time controlled?
Okay, so entitlements can be used to define allow, block, alert. These are different types of rules. This is not a read or write kind of situation. This is granting access to a specific resource, a machine, a service, a database, what have you. And you may certainly have any kinds of dynamic constraints over that access. So if you want to only grant access to an application or resource on a given day or from a given region or to users whose names begin with R, you can do any of that. All of that is just core power that's inside of Appgate SDP.
Perfect. Here's another one. Can the customer use this app Disco if they want to use the headless client for access control between two servers?
That is a great question. You can. I wonder. I'm in problem solving mode. Typically, we don't see the server to server access going over broad entitlements, but certainly that can be the case. Yeah, so that's right. It would detect that if those connection requests are going over a broad entitlement.
Sounds good. Here's another one. Hello, I'm using Appgate 6.5. I'm not able to see the app discovery menu.
Um, yep.
That's more of a comment there, but
Sure. But the good observation, is I may have neglected to mention that you have to be on 651, and this service, if it's part of your existing Appgate SDP subscription, then your customer service representative or your sales representative would be able to get you the license that enables it. If this is not already part of your subscription, then the team can get you a license that you can use to trial it, to decide if that makes sense for you. But you'll need to have a license that enables it. And I know you said you're on 6.5, and I'll just make sure I reiterate for everybody that the minimum would be 6.51 that's the minimum version you should get to. So if you're on 6.51 and you have the license for it, then you'll see the application discovery service, and you'll access it by going to usage discovered apps.
perfect. And here's another one from Daniel. Does this also show failed connection devices or only successful connections?
It shows connection requests. So success or fail does not matter, just the fact that they ask for it.
How would I go about migrating to use this if I already have entitlements and permissions set?
Well, so customers do this all the time. You start with the broad entitlements, and you can continue to keep the broad entitlement in place. As you build narrow entitlements, so let's say you have a broad entitlement that gives you access to a whole site. Let's call it the Boston site. So if your users have this entitlement to all of Boston, you can then use application discovery to build entitlements that would then grant users to specific applications in the Boston site. Those entitlements can coexist. Your users can have both the broad entitlement and the narrow entitlement. That is generally how this happens for a period of time. Appgate SDP knows about when it hands out the entitlements, it prioritizes the narrow entitlements over the broad entitlements. So your users, your end users, as they get the narrow entitlements, they'll actually be using the narrow entitlements with the broad entitlement as a kind of a backup. They won't know that this is happening. They won't see any difference in their connection or connectivity. And then over time, as you see that there are fewer connections being made over the broad access rule because you've granted everybody new narrow entitlements, then you'll be able to get rid of the broad entitlement, um, or disable it. Maybe you want to keep it in the background, but that's how you can do that. So they can coexist. I hope that answer helps. Please ask another one if you need more clarification.
Thanks, Colby. And here's another one. Does a connection to ZTP have a cost?
Uh, so it depends on your current subscription. For some customers who are already on a connected or hosted subscription model, it may already be part of your subscription. If this is not something that's already in your subscription, it is available as an add-on. And for that, you should definitely talk to your Appgate representative.
Thank you. Here's another one. Does the data only go back 24 hours or a similar time frame for app discovery? And will the
Mhm.
app discovery info be sent to a system log as well for longer retention if desired?
Mhm. So the data that application discovery uses is a subset, a real small piece of the audit log data. So if you're already sending your audit logs and your system logs to a SIM, SOAR, or other log aggregator, it, you, you would continue to do that. Using AppDisco won't change that behavior. So application discovery will just work on a subset of that data. Um, and the data, it's only tracking for 30 days at a time, not 24 hours. So apologize for any confusion there. So that it tracks it over 30 days with like a rolling 30-day log.
Thank you. Colby, here's another one. For customers that already have essentials isolated, App Disco must be offered with cost, correct?
That's correct. If your essentials isolated, this would be a value add service,
My collective is on 6.5.1 and is connected to ZTP, but I
right?
don't have the option of application discovery under usage. Is there something else that needs to be enabled for this to work?
Yes, you'll need a license. So your AppGate representative will need to send you a license that will enable this for you. Simply adding the license into your STP collective will enable the service since, as you mentioned, you're already connected to ZTP. There's no additional configuration required. The system will just start to get information, and within 24 hours, you'll start to see results in the application discovery screen. But you'll need to get that license.
Thanks, Colby. Here's another one from Andy. Apologies if I missed this. Is there an additional cost and or license for this functionality? I think the same as the last one.
I'll say I think we answered it, but if there's other questions, I'd be happy to
Sure.
tackle
If
that.
you choose to not implement, will it wait in a queue to be revised later? Can it be
Oh,
removed for a period of time?
I'm maybe not sure what we're talking about removing, but let me try to explain here. The applications that we discover, it'll continue to show this for 30 days. And if these applications aren't being accessed anymore, or if they're not being accessed over broad rule, after 30 days, they'll disappear as they should. If you're asking about like entitlements and how long they last, once the entitlement has been generated, it's just an entitlement. It's just like any other entitlement that you have today. So it lasts until you decide to delete it. Um, if it's in this disabled state, which is the default state, uh, it stays disabled until you choose to put it enabled. We try to automate all the basic stuff that would just be monotonous to do, but we did not choose to automate anything that could really change your environment. So you have control over when the entitlement gets created. You have control over when it gets activated or what additional controls, access rules you have around it. You have all those controls. And they don't go away. Any entitlement that gets generated stays until you personally delete it. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, I think he's mentioning that in a separate comment that yes,
Okay.
covered. Thank you. Chris is asking, can you explain the app discovery domains under global settings near the very bottom and how that fits into app discovery?
Yeah, that is vestigial. That is something that we needed with another technology that we tried to build. Some of our customers may remember on the dashboard, there was a discovered apps widget. That widget, as it turns out, never really fulfilled the objective. It didn't solve the problems that our customers had and what we were trying to achieve. Um, so that the fields you're talking about, those fields were used partly by that widget, which no longer exists as it provided no value. Uh, you don't need to do anything with those fields. They won't matter with application discovery, as we have a different way for how we're able to identify the domains. We're actually using the information from the gateway configuration to do this.
Thanks,
Well,
Colby.
the DNS rules.
Here's another one. What information is shared with the service?
Right. So I can't articulate the details. It's documented in our ZTP architecture section, and so we can share that link, uh, or if you can contact one of the Appgate SCP reps, they can send you the link. But it's a subset of the audit logs, um, and it's the ones that'll tell the system which user is accessing which endpoint. Sorry, I can't. It'd be hard to try and describe exactly what the fields are.
Is there a limit to the number of applications it can discover?
Uh, to the best of our knowledge, there isn't. During the early access program, we had a customer pointed at one of their environments, and we discovered 26,000 applications, which is mind-boggling. Um, but no, there's no practical limit right now.
Is this app disco available for MSP customers?
Uh, Application discovery is available for MSPs, and that's something you should definitely talk to your partner manager about.
Sounds good, Colby. Can I export the application discovery findings?
You can, and I zip by one of the screens. Let's see if I go back over. So just an example. Yeah, right. So, for example, maybe you want to share with an application owner the list of users and the groups so that they can confirm whether or not these folks should have access. So you can download this data right as a CSV and then share that with the application owner or other stakeholders, or even use it if you're doing audit reporting.
Thank you, Colby. I don't think we have any more questions. Yep, seems like we have answered them all.
Wow, that's good
Sorry,
news.
came in. A couple just came in, sorry.
So,
Giving
yeah.
people to think about their questions. David is asking, are there any admin role ACLs that can restrict certain functions?
Um, I I'm not sure. Maybe an example would help because I'm not sure if you're asking about controlling access to the use of application discovery or if you're referring to controlling access for a given resource, like something in an entitlement.
Yeah, David, if you can just send us a quick note here in the Q&A panel. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you this other question that came in.
Hmm.
Can app discovery identity SaaS application that user is using? I guess it's app
Identify. Can it
identify.
identify? Yeah. So it can identify the FQDN, the domain and subdomains that somebody's going. The service does not currently classify an application, so we could tell you about all the endpoints when your users are going to like O365, some Microsoft products or whatever, but it won't be able to tell you which specific product that is. So yes, but I guess is the answer.
Sounds good. I'm still waiting to see if we get any more questions or a little bit of more clarification from David, but don't see anything coming in yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we can wait one more minute.
Well, I'll just attempt to describe the two things then about the permissions. Um, Application discovery as a service, you could set per, a permission setup so that maybe an SDP admin can most of your SDP admins can see the application discovery service, but maybe there's an SDP admin you don't want to see that. And then yes, through permissions, you could block that access. But if you're asking about setting permissions on resources that are on the other side of an entitlement, of course, those are just entitlement rules. And then you have a lot of flexibility in deciding who should have access based on who they are, user attributes, user claims, device claims, custom claims.
Thank you. He did send a clarification. Essentially, I work for an MSP and we do
Ah,
provide some client IT teams access to log into the controller limited
yes.
with an admin
Ah,
once.
okay,
See
right,
if the view of which apps shown in the list is limited based on permissions. So
right.
you won't see apps from another.
Right. Really good question. And it makes sense, obviously, from the MSP standpoint. So for MSPs, this is really an excellent service for you guys to help onboard your customers and help them get to a more fine-grained, least privilege access model. It is not currently designed in a way that would make it easier for you to um, well to do the use case that you have there. So your customer admin that you grant privilege to access the SDP admin interface, you'll want to make sure that they do not have permission to application discovery. We do not have a way to filter out one tenant's application set from another tenant's application set. Um,
We do have another question that came in.
mhm.
Can the dashboards be downloaded in CSV or Excel formats?
Um, Dashboard. So we're talking, I think, about like this screen. So currently, this list isn't available to be downloaded. What we do today is we download the user and group information on a per application basis. Um, be interesting. I'll actually submit that as an enhancement request for folks who might want to be able to download the summaries from here.
And here's another one that just came in. Are there API endpoints available to pull the data from discovered apps?
There aren't that I'm aware of. These are really good questions, and I would love to have a follow-up conversation with you. As a product manager, I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you're trying to do there, see how we can help.
And sorry, Colleen.
That's
Um,
it.
we have another one that came in. Does the discovered app feature work for up and down traffic?
Ah, right. It's currently all for up traffic. We're not yet doing down traffic. Good question. Thank you.
And that's all we got for now. I don't see anything else coming in. Uh,
Super engaged. Super
yes,
engaged audience. Thank you.
one more question here. Is down
Yeah.
traffic in the plans?
Well, down traffic is in the plans, but I don't have an ETA for that.
These are really great questions. And here's a request. Please include as an enhancement implementing RBAC to access particular.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I got it.
Thank you, Colby. I think that's all we have for now. So I guess we can close it out.
I think so. And you can always reach me at this address here and of course through your Appgate representative. I really appreciate everyone's time and engagement today. And thank you, Ixta. You're a fantastic hostess.
Thank you, Colby, and to our audience, thank you for being part of today's webinar. As a friendly reminder, the recording for today's session will be shared with you tomorrow. We highly value your feedback, so please take a moment to complete the short survey at the end of this webinar. Thank you once again for joining and have a wonderful day. Thanks, Colby.
I think so. Bye.